Welcome to the Real Deal Fantasy Drill with your host, Chris the Real Deal.
Welcome to the Real Deal Fantasy Drill. I'm your host, Chris the Real Deal, and over the next 16 weeks, we're going to be diving deep into the Pekegama Fantasy Football League. We're going to be talking the do's and don'ts. We're going to be talking the whys and the why nots. We're going to get into everything. We're going to have special interviews and guest appearances. So let's start off this week with Week 1. We're going into the first games on Thursday. Let's start off with congratulating last year's winners. Symphony of Destruction, second Super Bowl title in as many years, 8th year of the league this year. Sack Attack, second place, best game the league's ever seen in a championship. Came right down to the wire. Now, let's talk the do's and don'ts of fantasy football. I know a lot of you guys look at your roster, you look at your players, you just want to throw your top guys in and let them play. Well, these are why you're never in the playoffs or losing in the playoffs. You have to look at matchups. Let's start with wide receiver matchups. It's a hard one to look at. You're looking at cornerbacks. I don't follow defense. You need to follow defense. That's why you see the same people in the championship round year after year. For example, you got Randy Moss on your team. Do you start him against Darrelle Revis and the New York Jets? No. Darrelle Revis held Randy Moss to 2 yards, 19 catches. 2 yards? What? Are you kidding me? No. But he can't catch the ball on him. What are you going to do? For example, also, second-tier running backs playing against the Cleveland Browns. 32nd against the run last year. They had nowhere to go with the ball. Even Detroit ran 132 yards and 3 scores on the Cleveland Browns. Please, if you got them, start them. Now, don't start your best players. Are you kidding me? Don't start your best players. Some people think, well, I can't start this guy because they're playing my favorite team. Hey, look at it this way. At least if your favorite team gets your ass kicked, your fantasy football team still has a chance to win. You're not per se rooting against them, but you're not rooting for them either. And the last time I checked, your fantasy football team's the only one that pays you any money. Another thing drives me nuts, Week 1 pickups. You look at your lineup, you see a rookie go off, he gets 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and you drop a reliable veteran on your team, you put this guy on your team, and then you're calling 2 weeks later asking your buddies, why don't this guy ever score for me? Well, the reason he don't score is because he was filling in for someone who's suspended or injured, and now there's obviously a better player on the team. That's why you don't hear from him anymore. These are just a couple tricks that you can use in the next coming weeks, and we'll have more tips and tricks along the way to help you adjust your rosters and put your best foot forward with your team. Now let's get into our draft. Just happened on Saturday. We had a great time. But there's things that happen in a draft. First off, bust of the draft. All right, let's start at the bottom. Not really a bust in points per se, but did derail this whole guy's strategy and plan for his team. Matt Schaub, drafted by the Guru. This guy took him thinking he was blocking another guy drafting to try and mess up his team, and, well, it didn't mess up that guy's team, but I can tell you, buddy, from looking over your guys' results, it didn't work. On to the next, my bitches. First pick overall, did a great job with Chris Johnson, but then took Johnny Knox from the Chicago Bears. Okay, I understand. People still think Jay Cutler can throw the ball around the yard. Johnny Knox caught a couple passes. But you don't take the guy when you still have the likes of Lee Evans and Terrell Owens on the board. Are you kidding me? Good luck with that sleeper. Now, on to the second worst pick of the draft, Matt Forte. SOD, I'll give you a little credit. You have won 2 Super Bowls. You know what you're doing. But obviously, you didn't look at the last 4 weeks of his schedule, which falls in our playoffs. Obviously, he's going up against the number 1, 2, 3, 4 in order rush defenses in the league. Good luck with that. Number 1 bust of the draft, Steven Jackson, taken by Hell's Bells. Year after year, we hear, this guy's going to be great. He's going to run all over the place. He's going to have touchdowns. He's crossing the goal line. You get nothing. 792 yards on 5 million carries and a busted hip or shoulder every year. Thank you for taking them off my hands. Now let's go to the steals of the draft. These are picks that people made in the late rounds that are going to help the quality of their team through the season, bye weeks, playoffs, and thereon due through injuries. Great picks. Number 4. Well, he did have the worst pick of the draft, but he had one of the best picks of the drafts as well. Hell's Bells took Lee Evans in the 9th round. Great pick. Number 1 receiver. Can't go wrong. With the next best steal of the draft, we have She Hate Me, who took Greg Camarillo in the 12th. Are you kidding me? The 12th round, people? What were you looking at? The guy never drops the ball. He caught 72 passes last year. Oh, there was only 72 thrown at him. Caught every one. You think Brett Favre doesn't like that? I think it's going to work. The number 2 super sleeper pick that I saw was made by a guy who has yet to make the playoffs in our league, but made a great pick here. Eric Decker from the Denver Broncos. No receivers there. Brandon Marshall gone to Miami. Someone's got to catch the ball there. And if you didn't know, the coach there, well, he comes from the Patriots, who also like to throw the ball, and he has faith in Kyle Orton to get it down the field. And someone's got to go get it. That guy's going to be Eric Decker, the number one sleeper pick of our draft. Every year, this guy goes in the late rounds. I can't figure it out. The 11th round, Sack Attack took Kevin Walter. Unbelievable pick. The guy gets 9 touchdowns and 1,000 yards every year. And as soon as or if Andre Johnson goes down, this guy's the number one option there. So, folks, that's your steals and busts of the draft. I'm going to bring in now the commissioner of your league, Becky Drulow, to come in and have a word with us, and then we're going to go to the prediction segment. Hi, Commissioner Drulow. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining me.
Hi, thanks a lot for asking me.
Not a problem at all. Now, Pokegama Football League's been around for like 7 years, going on 8, correct?
This is our 8th season, yeah.
Okay, and this is your first year as acting commissioner.
First year as the commissioner alone, yeah. I've been
Okay.
a co-commissioner for a few years, but this is my first year doing it by myself.
All right. What are some of the challenges you see as being commissioner of the Pokegama Football League?
You know, I don't see a lot of challenges. I think that for the most part, we've all been in this league together for a long time. We all kind of know what's going on. We vote on rules. You know, I don't see a whole lot of
Okay.
I don't see a whole lot of challenges.
Wonderful. Well, you know, with 2 new expansion teams in the league this year, what's your advice to them?
You know, advice to the new league or new teams, I would say that first of all, I want to say thank you for them to come into the league. We always like some new blood, you know, new teams, new owners. It's nice to have new people on the rosters. But I would say, first of all, make sure that you're checking your lineups every week. Make sure that you're looking at your injured players and ask for help. If you need help, ask your other owners. Ask, you know,
Wonderful.
listen to the TV, watch the programs, and listen to the radio.
That sounds great. What are, while we're on the topic of 2 new teams joining the league, in years past, you played everybody in your division twice, and you would play the other division once. Now, with 2 new teams, our schedule really doesn't set up for that unless we have double headers at the end of the season. Have you thought about that at all, and what's your strategy with that?
Right. You know, having 12 teams in the league does change things up a little bit. So what we're doing this year, what I've decided is that we're going to have some double headers at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Starting week 11, we go 13 weeks. So starting week 11, we're going to have double headers going week 11, 12, and 13. The first 5 weeks of the season is going to be all division play, and then weeks 11, 12, and 13 are all going to be division play. That way you play everybody in the league once, and you play everybody in your division twice. So that should make it nice.
Sounds wonderful. One last question for you. How can owners voice any concerns they have throughout the league with you in a way that's not detrimental to the league and other people if they have any concerns? How can you be contacted?
You know, I would say, first of all, just call me. I've got my cell phone number on the website. Just check with me, call me up, let me know what you have to say. If there's any problems, we'll either take a vote or I'll make a decision one way or the other if it's a simple problem.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time today and look forward to having you on in the future.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Well, that was Commissioner Becky Drulow, and now after this, we are going to the prediction segment, the one you've all been waiting for, and here we go. First off, we're going to go with playoffs and not so much playoffs, people. All right. What teams do we have coming into the playoffs this year? Well, let's start up, and we have Better Than You going to the playoffs this year. We have Tailgater going to the playoffs this year. We have the Guru slimly making the playoffs this year. And that's slim. That is subject to change. We do have Sack Attack with another great draft looking to bring up a second place finish to a first this year in the playoffs. To the other division making the playoffs, we have She Hate Me coming to join the playoffs again. 2-time Super Bowl champion. Watch out for her. We also have Bitches coming to the playoffs. That team is owned by your commissioner, people. She did have the first pick overall and has a steady team looking to make a run. Coming with our last 2 teams to make the playoffs here. And yes, folks, if you haven't seen your name yet and it isn't here, you're off to the toilet bowl for another shitty year. Who's winning? Makes his first stride to the playoffs. He comes out the gate in year 4 to make it in. Symphony of Destruction. That is also subject to change. You, my friend, took the same team as last year. Don't know if I'd count on those Vikings. But now let's move on over to our toilet bowl matchups. We will have She's the Man, Hell's Bells. His bell should be ringing after that draft, people. It was not a good one. And then we got the rookie, still made the playoffs once, but keep him where he belongs. And of course, the name says it all, people. He hasn't a fucking clue. This is your Super Bowl run that I see. Now, what you've all been waiting for as well, the last prediction segment, our weekly matchups. Week 1, we have who's winning versus the bitches. Now, we do know that Adrian Peterson and Chris Johnson were drafted 1 and 2 in this game, folks. We have a prime time matchup. Now, we did say who's winning is going to the playoffs. We did say the bitches are going to the playoffs. But one of these teams has to win this game, and we're going with the bitches on this one. We think who winning's got a good draft, but we think he's got to step up and pick it up, and it's going to be better through the year. Next, we're looking at Symphony of Destruction and the rookies. Normally, I wouldn't want to do this, but I'm going to. Brett Favre, probably going to have a good game on Thursday, so we're going with Symphony of Destruction on that game. Looking at our next one, folks, this has been a powerhouse matchup for years. Better Than You versus the Guru. They have played every year, first game of the season. One stat you might not know, though. The Guru, out of 7 years, has only won week 1 once. We got to give the nod to Better Than You. Now, with our next matchup, rookie alert, Tailgater versus She's the Man. She's the Man has not been the man. Hasn't fared so well, done a little bit, done a little, not enough. We're going to give the win to Tailgater on that week. That's a good pick, folks. Watch out for that team. She drafted an excellent one. Coming down, Hell's Bells, Sack Attack. Folks, this is a given. Hell's Bells, worst pick of the draft, Hell's Bells. Another guy that got suspended for 6 weeks, Hell's Bells, ring, ring, ring. Folks, that's Sack Attack all the way. We come down to She Hate Me and No Clue. I don't hate her. I love her. No Clue doesn't have a chance, folks. She Hate Me wins the last matchup. This is the Fantasy Drill, Real Deal. I'm your host, Chris the Real Deal. Have a good night.